You're now listening to number 5 from the Lawson Dodds Wood album, Numbers. And the sound you're hearing at the beginning, the first sound that comes in is my bass, through a delay and a filter and some strangeness. But that gorgeous percussive sound you're hearing is the Dodds from Lawson Dodds Wood. It's Roy Dodds. Hello, Roy.
Hello there.
What is that sound?
That's called the hangpan, which is an instrument I think made in Germany. That's like a flying saucer. Looks like a flying saucer and has an octave of notes on it. It's excellent because whatever I play, you guys seem to join in with. Yeah, so it's a very nice experience for me to be able to play my hang with people who are sensitive enough to pick up on it.
One of the things that I most like about playing with you is that you have a kind of quite surprisingly large palette of colours that you draw from percussively. How does that fit into your view of what the role of a drummer is? Because you don't play like most drummers.
Yes, well, I tried to. I definitely tried to. That's how I started out, trying to play like most drummers. But for some reason, it all went wrong. And so I've kind of capitalised on that and sort of tried to make that my thing, I suppose.
Taking what was a weakness and turned it into a strength.
Exactly. Yeah.
You seem to carry a lot of kind of little toys and gadgets and things with you when you're getting ready for a gig or a session or whatever. Do you is there any kind of plan to it, or do you just go, right, big bag of kitchen utensils, that'll do, I'll take those with me?
Well, there's a sort of a plan, you know. There is a kind of a plan, but it's great playing with you guys because I can put my hangpan in and my collection of gongs and shakers and anything that strikes a nice belly sound, as you can hear there.
And there's some lovely bell sounds.
I mean, yeah, so I'm just sort of hopelessly influenced by any percussive sound, really, and especially you know, South American percussion and African percussion, and then I suppose more weird European contemporary percussion, and so drums for me is a broad palette. It always has been, but obviously sometimes my job is just to play the drum kit, and I love doing that, you know. But I also love it when I can just extend it out and be. And I think my favourite thing is to work with other percussionists. So I think my favourite band I was in, there was 4 percussion players and 2 drummers, and that was just such a treat because there was just so much going on. So I suppose I always in my head I try and recreate that effect, which is impossible. But you know, in some way I try to make more than, you know, try and make a lot of things go on at once. And with this track, you know, I cycle down here to Patrick's quite a few times and bring my bag of stuff, and we did overdub a few things onto this.
Yeah, they sound like there's some shakers
and bells and stuff that I would have liked to have done while we were playing it. But when I'm sitting in Patrick's hot seat here, but when Patrick sort of edited and put this together, I said, oh, I'd really like to put something on there just to help that bit, and so I sort of added things afterwards which just I felt helped cement the arrangement, I suppose.
One of the nice things I find about both the way you play and the way that you do overdubs is that you think very much like a producer. That there's very much a kind of a sense of you not being just the thickie at the back of the band that hits things, but instead you're actually minutely aware of the kind of the space that you create with percussion. I guess largely because it's of its acoustic nature, that it actually is it's more obviously physically in a space than an electric instrument that's plugged in. Is that something you've consciously done, or is that just what happens through playing songs over the years? Does that just come from playing songs rather than introspective beard stroking improv for your whole life? That I mean, the large part of your professional life has been playing with songwriters.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, I suppose when you playing a song, recording a song with somebody, you want what the drums and the percussion, the role of that has to make the song sound fantastic, really. So you do as much or as little as you think that song needs, and I suppose listening a lot to music that really influences me, where there is a lot of different layers and textures of percussion. You start to think, okay, you know, you want all those things to be happening at the same time, you know, and it's hard to make them all happen at the same time on your own. So, you know, adding, but always in your head, you know, oh, if only that could be in there and that could be in there. So you have to add them afterwards. That's the way to do it, I suppose. It's what you start with and then what you add on top. Does that sort of answer your question?
It certainly does. One of the joys for me of working with Roy is that he's made what on paper was very strange music. There's some of this that is actually gets very odd indeed, and he turns it into songs. That he kind of adds that element to it. Often I find that with my favourite bands, it's the drummer that is the kind of cohesive factor in it, and Roy certainly is. In this is what anchors everything. He plays in gold behind everything that's going on, and that especially with me doing as many loops as I am, and not necessarily always thinking like a normal bass player, that to have a drummer that is as self-contained as that, but also as integrated into the kind of the whole spectrum of the sound as Roy is well, it's vital. We couldn't really do this without that. If we just had some straight rock drummer pummeling away at the back of the stage, it wouldn't have worked at all. So it is an ongoing huge pleasure for me to work with him, and I'm sure when you hear the album and compare the release tracks to the unedited versions, you'll hear just what an amazing contribution he makes to the music. Yeah, ta-da.